Welcome back to my channel, Valuable Rare Coins. If you love discovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we'll uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. We're diving into the 1917 Wheat Penny, one of the most mysterious, rare, and shockingly valuable coins in American numismatic history. Coin lovers, collectors, and treasure hunters, pay close attention. Because what I'm about to share might just make you pull out that magnifying glass and inspect your change like never before. Let's set the scene. The year is 1917. The United States is entering World War I. Resources are tight. The country is focused on the war effort, and the U.S. Mint is producing coins under incredible pressure. During this time, the San Francisco Mint, represented by the S mint mark under the date, produced the 1917 Wheat Penny, but with a twist. Although over 32 million of these pennies were minted, only a tiny fraction survive today in collectible condition. Why? Most 1917 pennies were circulated heavily, wore down quickly, and vanished over the years. But there's more. Some of these coins contain extremely rare minting errors that transform them from common sense to priceless collector's pieces. Now let's explore what makes the 1917 Wheat Penny so valuable. First, the S mint mark itself sets it apart. Coins from San Francisco were produced in lower quantities and often with slightly lower striking quality compared to Philadelphia or Denver. This makes finding sharp, detailed specimens even more difficult. But the real value hides in the errors, and here's where things get exciting. One of the rarest errors on the 1917 Wheat Penny is the doubled die obverse, known as DDO. This occurs when the die that strikes the coin's design shifts between strikes, causing a ghost-like doubling of the design elements. If you look closely at the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date 1917, and you see a doubling or thickening in the letters or numbers, that could be a doubled die. These errors are highly sought after because they were accidental, short-lived, and rarely caught by the mint. And when combined with the San Francisco S mint mark, the coin becomes exponentially rarer. Another error to look for is the off-center strike, where the image is misaligned due to the coin blank being improperly placed during minting. If your coin is missing part of its rim and the date is still visible, you might have a valuable off-center strike that collectors love. Then there's the die cracks and cuts, small raised lines or blobs on the coin where the die was damaged. These errors aren't always as dramatic as double dies, but they still fetch excellent prices, especially when they appear on early Lincoln Wheat Pennies like this one. Don't forget the repunched mint mark or RPM. On some 1917 pennies, the S under the date was accidentally punched more than once, leaving a faint shadow or doubling behind it. These repunched marks are small, but they add huge value. Now, how do you know if your 1917 penny is worth big money? First, check its condition. If it's smooth, worn, and the details are barely visible, its value may be low, though even poor condition 1917 pennies can be collectible. But if the details are sharp, Lincoln's coat, the wheat stalks, the lettering, then you're looking at what we call mint state condition. Coins graded MS 60 and above, especially those certified by services like PCGS or NGC, are worth significantly more. Combine that condition with a bold error like a double die or RPM, and you've got a true numismatic gem on your hands. Let's talk real-world numbers. Recently, a 1917 Wheat Penny with a deep reddish tone, minimal wear, and a clearly visible doubled die error crossed the auction block. It was graded and authenticated by a major grading service, and after intense bidding from seasoned collectors across the country, the final hammer price stunned everyone in the room. That single 1-cent coin sold for a jaw-dropping $330,000. Yes, $330,000. For 1 penny. From 1917. That's the kind of discovery that can change lives. If you're watching this, now is the time to search your coin boxes, your inherited collections, your change jars. If you come across a 1917 penny, take it seriously. Get a magnifier, study the details, and if anything looks unusual, consult a coin expert or get it professionally graded. Because one of the rarest coins in your lifetime could be sitting right under your nose. Collectors, have you ever found a 1917s? Have you spotted a doubling or noticed an unusual mint mark? Share your discoveries in the comments below. Let's build a community of sharp-eyed collectors helping each other find America's hidden coin treasures. Second rare coin, we're talking about a coin that might be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change or your grandfather's old coin jar, the 1949 Wheat Penny from the United States. It may look like just another old 1-cent coin, but some of these tiny treasures have been auctioned for absolutely jaw-dropping prices if they carry the right secrets. So, if you love coin hunting, if you're a collector, or if you're simply curious about how a common penny can turn into a rare gold mine, then listen closely because the next few minutes might just change how you look at pennies forever. The 1949 Wheat Penny was minted just a few years after World War II. The country was rebuilding, industries were booming, and pennies were being struck in large numbers. That year, 3 different mints produced this coin: Philadelphia, Denver, marked with AD, and San Francisco, marked with an S. Together, they made hundreds of millions of these coins, but here's the twist. Not all of them were perfect. In fact, it's the imperfections, the minting errors, and the rare varieties that make this coin so fascinating and, in some cases, wildly valuable. Let's start with one of the most sought-after errors, the double die obverse, or DDO. This happens when the coin die, the stamp used to create the coin's design, shifts ever so slightly between strikes. The result? A ghost-like double image, usually visible on the date 1949, the word liberty, or the famous motto "In God We Trust." If you look at one of these coins under magnification and notice that the letters or numbers look thicker or shadowed, you might just have stumbled upon a true rarity. Another major error to look out for is the repunched mint mark, or RPM. This usually appears on coins from the Denver or San Francisco mints. In these cases, the small d or s under the date was punched into the die more than once, but not in the same exact spot, creating a doubled or blurry appearance. This wasn't supposed to happen. But when it did, those few flawed coins escaped into circulation, and now collectors are hunting for them like treasure. Have you ever seen a penny where the image is off-center? That's another valuable error known as an off-center strike. If the coin wasn't perfectly placed when it was struck, part of the design might be missing or shifted to one side. The more dramatic the error, especially if the date is still visible, the more valuable the coin. Then there are the rare cases of coins struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the metal blank was intended for a different denomination or even another country's coin. If your 1949 penny looks unusually shiny, silver, or feels lighter or heavier than normal, it might have been struck on the wrong metal, and that's where serious value starts to build. Collectors also love coins with die cracks, lamination errors, or cuds, those odd raised bumps, lines, or missing chunks that occurred during the minting process. These small mistakes were unintentional, but they make each flawed coin unique, like a fingerprint in metal. Now let's talk about grading and condition, 2 words that can make or break a coin's value. Even a rare error won't fetch top dollar if the coin is too worn or damaged. But if you happen to own a high-grade 1949 Wheat Penny, especially one certified by PCGS or NGC in MS, 65 condition or higher, with a confirmed error, congratulations. You could be sitting on a true collector's dream. Let me take you into the world of real coin auctions. Not long ago, a sharp-eyed collector submitted a 1949 penny to be graded. It came back with an impressive mint state grade, and the coin had a very clear and bold doubled die obverse. The bidding war at the auction was intense, as collectors knew they were chasing something special. And when the final gavel dropped, the price sent shockwaves through the room. That 1-cent coin sold for a stunning $200,000. Yes, you heard that right. $200,000 for a penny minted in 1949. A coin many people might walk past without even noticing. This is why coin collecting is so much more than a hobby. It's history in your hand. It's treasure hiding in plain sight. And it's a reminder that sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest value if you know what to look for. Oh, here's your challenge. Go check your old coins. Look at that 1949 wheat penny that's been sitting in your drawer. Get a magnifying glass. Study the date, the mint mark, the lettering. Look for doubling, repunched marks, or anything that seems just a little off. And if you're not sure, reach out to a local coin dealer or send it in for grading. You might be holding something much more valuable than you ever imagined. Collectors and treasure hunters, I want to hear from you. Have you ever come across a 1949 wheat penny with an error? Do you have questions about a strange coin in your collection? Drop a comment below and share your story. Let's help each other uncover the hidden value in our everyday change. Third expensive coin, we're diving deep into the mysterious and incredibly valuable world of the 1936 United States wheat penny, a coin that could turn the average collector into a millionaire if the right features are present. Coin lovers, treasure hunters, and curious minds, stay with me till the end of this video because what I'm about to reveal could make you look at that old penny in your drawer very differently. Let's begin with a little history. The year was 1936. The Great Depression still cast a shadow across America, but recovery efforts were underway. Franklin D. Roosevelt was leading the country forward, and while times were tough, the U.S. Mint kept producing coins, including the humble 1-cent wheat penny. Over 379 million 1936 wheat pennies were struck across three major mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D; and San Francisco, S. On the surface, that may sound like a common coin. But within that massive production run hides something far rarer, something that only the sharpest eyes and most passionate collectors will ever find, because some of these 1936 wheat pennies contain errors and unique variations so rare. They've sold at auctions for amounts that are simply unbelievable. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what to look for. Let's start with one of the most famous and most valuable errors, the doubled die obverse, often abbreviated as DDO. This error occurred when the design on the die shifted slightly between strikes, creating a ghostly doubling of the lettering and numbers. If you hold a 1936 penny and notice that the date, Liberty, or I in God We Trust, looks strangely thick, doubled, or shadowed, congratulations. You may be looking at one of the rarest and most valuable versions of this coin. There are multiple varieties of the 1936 DDO, with Type 1 being the boldest and most dramatic, the kind that stands out even to the naked eye. These coins are highly sought after by collectors and have sold for enormous prices in top condition. But that's not the only thing that makes the 1936 penny fascinating. There are also repunched mint marks, RPMs, especially on coins from the Denver and San Francisco mints. These occurred when the mint mark was accidentally punched into the die more than once, often slightly misaligned. The result is a doubled mint mark, and although small, this error adds major value when combined with good condition. Let's not forget the off-center strikes, die cracks, cuds, and even lamination errors. Each of these flaws occurred during the minting process, completely by accident, and they make each affected coin one of a kind. Off-center strikes, for example, are dramatic and easy to spot. The coin will look uneven, sometimes missing part of its rim or design. If the date is still visible, that error can skyrocket its value. Even minor die cracks or raised lines on Lincoln's portrait, or strange bubbles or peels on the coin surface, called lamination errors, can bring collector attention and increase the value significantly. Now, let's talk condition. Grading matters a lot. Most pennies from the 1930s were used and abused in daily commerce, so finding one in excellent condition is no small feat. But if you happen to come across a high-grade, uncirculated 1936 wheat penny, especially with a confirmed error like a bold DDO, you're entering extremely valuable territory. Collectors often look for mint state coins, especially those graded MS 65 or higher by trusted grading services like PCGS or NGC. A 1936 double die in pristine condition can go from being a penny to a powerhouse of value. Want proof? Let me tell you about a recent auction. A lucky collector had a 1936 wheat penny that looked like nothing special at first glance. But under closer inspection, experts discovered a clear and dramatic Type 1 double-die obverse, and the coin was graded in nearly perfect condition. When it hit the auction floor, the bids came fast and furious from seasoned collectors who understood its significance. When the final hammer dropped, that little copper coin sold for a staggering $400,000. Yes, $400,000. For a penny minted almost a century ago. That's the magic and mystery of numismatics, where the smallest things carry the greatest surprises. So, if you've got a 1936 wheat penny, check it carefully. Look at the date. Study the letters. Use a magnifying glass or even a jeweler's loupe. Compare it with images of known error coins. If you see doubling, off-center strikes, or anything unusual, consider having it professionally graded. That one coin you've been overlooking could be the key to a massive payday. Collectors, have you ever seen a 1936 penny with doubling or strange marks? Have questions about your old coins or a story to share? Drop a comment below. Let's build a community of passionate collectors helping each other discover these hidden gems. Especially, we're talking about one of the most underrated yet highly collectible coins in U.S. history, the 1950 wheat penny. This isn't just any ordinary 1-cent coin. It's a piece of American legacy, and in rare cases, it's a hidden gem that can command an extraordinary value if you know exactly what to look for. Now, let's set the stage. The year was 1950. America was entering a new era after World War II. The economy was booming, the suburbs were growing, and pocket change, like the humble wheat penny, flowed through every diner, gas station, and grocery store across the country. That year, 3 U.S. mints struck the wheat penny: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D; and San Francisco, S. In total, over 272 million of these coins were minted. So naturally, the 1950 penny is considered common, but here's where things get exciting. While most of these pennies were ordinary, a few were struck with errors, die variations, or flaws so rare that they now have collectors battling over them at major auctions. These are the coins that can make you rich. Let's break down what makes certain 1950 wheat pennies so special and how you can identify them. First up is the double die obverse, or DDO, one of the most famous and desirable types of mint errors. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin's design shifts slightly between impressions, causing the image to appear doubled. On a 1950 wheat penny, a DDO might show up in the word liberty, in the motto "I in God we trust," or in the numbers of the date 1950 itself. Collectors love dramatic, bold doubling, the kind you can see with the naked eye or under low magnification. If you find a 1950 penny with those characteristics, you might be holding something very valuable. Now let's talk about repunched mint marks, or RPMs. These errors happen when the mint mark, the little letter like D or S, was punched into the die more than once, but not perfectly aligned. A 1950 D penny with a visible repunched mint mark is a serious collector's item. Under magnification, it may appear as a double D, one clearly punched on top of another, slightly offset. There are even varieties of 1950 pennies that were struck off-center, giving the coin an unusual and uneven appearance. These off-center strikes are especially valuable when the date is still clearly visible. The more dramatic the shift, the more desirable the coin. Another extremely rare and collectible error is the BIE die break. This flaw appears between the letters B and in the word liberty, where a small raised line or blob looks like the letter I spelling out BE. These are caused by cracks or breaks in the die, and though tiny, collectors find them fascinating and valuable. Also keep an eye out for lamination errors, where parts of the coin's surface flake or peel due to impurities in the metal, and die cracks, where raised lines form from worn or damaged dies. Each of these types of errors adds uniqueness and value, but let's be real, not all 1950 wheat pennies are worth big money. The condition of the coin plays a massive role. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, and the higher the grade, the higher the value. A well-worn coin may still hold interest for collectors if it has a rare error, but a pristine mint state, MS 65 or higher, 1950 penny with a major mint error. That's the dream. Let me tell you about one of those dreams come true. At a recent coin auction, a 1950 wheat penny was submitted for evaluation. At first glance, it looked fairly normal, but upon closer inspection, experts discovered it was a strong double die obverse variety, paired with a near-perfect surface condition. It had been carefully preserved for decades, untouched by time or circulation. Certified by PCGS as a high-grade mint state, this coin instantly gained attention from collectors around the world. When the bidding began, the room lit up with energy. Bids flew in from phone lines and online platforms. And when the final hammer dropped, the price stunned even seasoned collectors. That 1-cent coin, minted in 1950, sold for an unbelievable $130,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $130,000 for a penny that once sat in someone's change jar. That's the power of numismatics. That's why people search through boxes, jars, and rolls of coins for the slim chance of discovering something truly rare, truly unique, and truly valuable. So now I challenge you. Go check your coin collection. Look through your drawers, your piggy banks, your old jars of coins from your parents or grandparents. If you spot a 1950 wheat penny, take a closer look. Check the mint mark. Examine the date. Look for doubling, die breaks, or any odd features. You might just be holding a piece of American history and a fortune in your fingertips. Collectors, if you've ever found a 1950 penny with a strange error, or if you have questions about identifying one, drop a comment below. I love hearing your stories, and who knows, your coin might be the next one to hit 6 figures at auction. Next coin, we're uncovering the story of a small copper coin with a massive impact, the 1940 Wheat Penny, a coin that may look ordinary, but in rare cases, it's anything but. In fact, under the right conditions and with the right errors, one of these coins sold for a jaw-dropping $350,000. Coin collectors, history lovers, and treasure hunters, buckle in. Because if you've got a box of old pennies lying around, what you're about to learn might change your life. Let's step back in time. The year is 1940. The United States is still recovering from the Great Depression. World War II is looming, but hasn't yet drawn America in. And during this period, the San Francisco Mint, indicated by the tiny S below the date, struck over 112 million Lincoln wheat pennies. What makes the 1940 penny so important? With millions produced, isn't it just another copper coin? Here's the twist. Not all 1940 pennies were created equal. Among the massive mintage, a small handful left the mint with serious, dramatic errors that collectors obsess over, dealers hunt for, and auction houses fight to feature. Let's begin with one of the most valuable, the double die obverse, or DDO. This minting error happens when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between impressions, creating a ghost-like doubling of the design. On a 1940 penny, this doubling can appear in the date, the word liberty, or the iconic "In God We Trust" motto. It's one of those things that's hard to unsee once you know what to look for, and when it's bold and clear, it can multiply the coin's value exponentially. Then we have the RPM, repunched mint mark. These happen when the mint mark was punched into the die more than once, often slightly off target. With magnification, you might see an overlapping S, almost like a shadow, a dead giveaway for a highly collectible variation. Some 1940 pennies have even shown triple-punched mint marks, a mind-blowing feature for any collector. Another error you need to be aware of is the BIE die break, a vertical crack in the die that leaves what looks like an I between the letters B and E in Liberty. It may sound small, but to passionate collectors, it's a quirky and sought-after trait, especially on earlier Lincoln cents like this one. Even more dramatic are the off-center strikes, where the coin's design is shifted to one side due to a misalignment during minting. Imagine a 1940 S. Penny, where part of Lincoln's face is missing or the date hugs the rim. If the coin still shows the full date and mint mark, that's a jackpot level piece. Now let's talk about how to actually find one of these rarities. You don't need a metal detector or $1 million collection. Sometimes these valuable coins are tucked inside old family jars, boxes of change, or even mixed into bank rolls. To spot these features, all you need is a strong magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe and a little patience. Examine the date and mint mark closely, any signs of doubling or overlapping shapes. Look at Liberty and the motto. Are the letters thick, shadowed, or strangely bold? Flip the coin over and check for die cracks or unusual raised lines. The smallest irregularity could point to something big, but here's the deal, even with all the right errors, condition is king. The most valuable coins are found in uncirculated or mint-state condition, where details are sharp, surfaces are clean, and the original red copper luster still glows. Coins graded MS 65 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC carry the highest premiums. Let's talk about one legendary example. Not long ago, a pristine 1940 Wheat Penny, graded at an exceptional level and featuring a bold, doubled die obverse with clear doubling across the motto and date, went up for auction. Bidding started strong, as seasoned collectors immediately recognized the rarity and condition of this piece. The room buzzed with excitement. As the auctioneer's hammer came down, the final sale price stunned everyone. That single, small, copper coin sold for a staggering $350,000. That's right. A penny, a coin most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up, brought in $350,000 because of a rare error, near perfect preservation, and a bit of historical magic. So, if you're holding a 1940 penny, don't just toss it into your coin jar. Study it. Examine every detail. What might look ordinary at first glance could be hiding a rare and valuable story beneath its surface. And to all the collectors watching, if you've come across a strange or misprinted 1940 penny, tell us about it in the comments. Have questions about grading, selling, or identifying errors? Drop them below and let's connect. Last unique coin, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1945 United States Wheat Penny 1-cent coin. We'll talk about its origins, what makes it rare, the hidden errors that turn it from common to collectible, and how one particular 1945 penny shocked collectors when it sold for a life-changing amount. So, if you're a coin collector, a history lover, or someone hoping to strike gold from their piggy bank, pay close attention, because this one's for you. The 1945 Wheat Penny was born during the final year of World War II. Millions of these coins were struck, over 1 billion across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. At first glance, it seems like a coin that should be everywhere, and that's what makes it so deceptive. Most of these coins were made to circulate, to pass from hand to hand quickly in a wartime economy. And while most of them are still worth just a few cents, a select few, with certain features, errors, and grades, have become incredibly valuable. Let's talk about what to look for. First, and most important, errors. Errors are what make a coin like the 1945 Wheat Penny stand out. One of the most well-known and desirable is the doubled die obverse. This means that during the minting process, the die that stamps the design onto the coin shifted or was struck twice, creating a ghost-like doubling of letters and numbers. If you look closely, you may see doubling in God We Trust, Liberty, or even the date 1945. These errors are not easy to find, but when you do, they make all the difference. Next, the off-center strike. When a coin is struck off-center, meaning the design is shifted and incomplete, that coin immediately becomes a curiosity. Depending on how much of the design is missing and whether the full date and mint mark are still visible, the value can skyrocket. Another key error is the repunched mint mark, especially on coins from the Denver or San Francisco mints. In 1945, mint marks were still hand-punched into the dies, which left room for small mistakes. If the mint mark was punched more than once, slightly off the first time, you'll see a faint second impression under the letter. A subtle but valuable mistake. Now let's talk about condition. If you find a 1945 wheat penny with any of these rare errors, that's step one. But step two is just as critical: the coin's grade. Coins that have been heavily circulated, scratched, or worn are usually not worth much. But if your coin still has a glossy, reddish shine and sharp detail, you might be holding what collectors call a mint state penny. These coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with MS 65 and above commanding the highest prices. And when one of these coins has both mint condition and a rare error, that's when the numbers get serious. Recently, at a major numismatic auction, a collector brought forward a 1945 wheat penny in pristine mint state. But that wasn't all. It had a sharp, unmistakable double die obverse, visible to the naked eye. The coin was professionally graded, verified by experts, and presented with full historical records. The bids started fast and escalated quickly. And by the time the hammer came down, this little copper coin had stunned the room with its value. That single penny, 1 cent worth of copper, sold for a mind-blowing $220,000. Yes, you heard that right. $220,000 for a 1945 wheat penny. All because of a combination of rarity, error, and near-perfect condition. So what does this mean for you? It means that if you've got an old coin jar, a stash of pennies from your grandparents, or even just a handful of change from the flea market, now is the time to look closer. Grab a magnifying glass. Check the date. Look for that doubling. Examine the mint mark. You never know what you might find, and collectors, if you've ever come across a strange 1945 penny with unusual features or have questions about identifying these hidden gems, drop a comment below. Share your experience, or even better, share a photo if you've found something special. This community is full of passionate coin lovers who love helping each other learn and discover.